The arena floor gleamed under harsh lights as Captain Vex of the Dralfic Imperial Guard stepped into the circle. Her blue scales caught the glow, each one a testament to countless victories across a dozen worlds. She stood 7 feet tall, muscles coiled beneath armor that had never known defeat. The crowd roared from the observation decks above, thousands of alien spectators eager to witness another human's humiliation. "Who challenges me today?" Vex called out, her voice carrying effortlessly across the vast space. She rolled her shoulders, claws flexing. Which brave little human thinks they can best a Dralfic warrior? The challenge had begun 3 cycles ago, when humanity first petitioned for membership in the Galactic Council. The other species had laughed. Humans were weak, they said, fragile. Their bones broke easily. Their skin tore like paper, and they lacked the natural weapons every civilized species possessed. Vex herself had issued the proclamation that became infamous across human colonies. Any human who could defeat her in single combat would earn not only a council seat for their species, but her hand in marriage as well. She meant it as mockery. The second part was meant to sting even more than the first. 47 humans had tried. 47 had fallen. The entrance door hissed open. A man walked through, and Vex felt her confident grin waver for just a moment. He was not large by human standards, perhaps 6 feet tall, with a lean build that suggested speed rather than power. His dark hair was cut short, and his eyes held an unsettling calm. He wore simple combat gear, nothing fancy, nothing that spoke of military prestige or decorated service. "Name yourself," Vex demanded, recovering her composure. "Jack Torres," the human replied quietly. "Earth Defense Corps, retired." Vex laughed, and the crowd joined her. "They send me their old and broken now? Have humans given up entirely?" Jack said nothing. He simply moved to his corner of the arena and began stretching. Vex watched him, looking for signs of cybernetic enhancement or hidden weapons. She found none. This would be quick. The Arbiter, a floating orb of crystalline intelligence, announced the rules. No weapons. No outside interference. Victory by submission, unconsciousness, or death. The human had chosen to face her under Dralfic terms, which meant few restrictions on what she could do to him. The tone sounded. Vex launched forward with blinding speed, closing the distance in less than a second. Her clawed fist drove toward Jack's head with enough force to crack stone. He wasn't there. She struck air, stumbling slightly as her momentum carried her forward. Impossible. No human had ever dodged her opening strike. She spun, snarling, and found him 3 meters away, watching her with those calm eyes. "You're fast," he said. "But you telegraph." Rage flared in her chest. She charged again, this time with a combination. High claw strike, low tail sweep, follow-up headbutt. It was a pattern that had dropped countless opponents. Jack flowed around each attack like water, never quite where her strikes landed. He didn't counter. He simply evaded. "Fight me." Vex roared. "Not yet," Jack replied. The crowd's cheers had turned uncertain. This was wrong. Humans didn't move like this. They were clumsy, slow, easy prey for any serious warrior race. Yet here was this retired soldier making their champion look foolish. Vex changed tactics. She stopped charging and began to circle, cutting off angles, limiting his space. If she couldn't hit him through speed, she would corner him and use her superior strength. She feinted left, then exploded right, claws extended for a killing strike to his exposed side. Jack stepped into her attack. Her claws scraped against his ribs, drawing blood, but he had moved inside her reach, where her longer arms became a disadvantage. His elbow drove up into her jaw with shocking force. Stars exploded across her vision. Before she could recover, his leg swept hers, and suddenly The arena floor was rushing up to meet her face. She hit hard, her armor clanging against the metal surface. Confusion overwhelmed her anger. What had just happened? Vex rolled away and sprang to her feet, tasting blood in her mouth. Her jaw ached. In 18 years of arena combat, no one had ever struck her face and drawn blood. She touched her split lip, staring at the crimson on her claws in disbelief. "You're strong," Jack said, circling now himself. "Maybe twice as strong as me, pound for pound. Your reflexes are better too. But you've never fought anyone who knew what they were doing." "Lies." Vex charged again, abandoning strategy for raw fury. Jack didn't retreat this time. He met her charge with precise, economical movements. When her claws came down, he redirected rather than blocked, sending her strikes past him. When she tried to grapple, he used her own momentum to throw her. Every movement he made served multiple purposes. Defense became offense, evasion became positioning, blocks became strikes. Vex had trained in 17 combat systems across the galaxy. She recognized none of what this human was doing, yet it was brutally effective. He was using her advantages against her, turning her strength into liability, her speed into recklessness. A kick caught her knee, sending a spike of pain up her leg. Before she could adjust, his palm struck her chest, directly over her primary lung. The air exploded from her body. She gasped, suddenly unable to breathe, and that moment of vulnerability was all he needed. Jack's movements became a blur. Strike to her nerve cluster under the right arm, numbing it instantly. Sweep to her injured leg, dropping her to one knee. Elbow to her temple, rattling her brain inside her skull. She tried to rise, tried to fight back, but her body wouldn't respond properly. The arena had gone silent. Vex found herself on her back, Jack's knee on her chest, his hand positioned for a killing strike to her throat. He could end her life with a single blow. They both knew it. The Arbiter hovered closer, ready to declare the match over. "Why?" Vex gasped, her vocal sacs straining. "Why aren't you enhanced? Why are you this good?" Jack's expression softened slightly. "Because humans don't have scales or claws or natural armor. We're weak, just like you all keep saying. So we had to get creative. We spent 10,000 years learning how to hurt each other efficiently. Every culture, every nation, we developed systems to overcome opponents stronger than us." He paused. "You've been a warrior for 18 years. I've studied combat for 40. He stood, offering her his hand. Vex stared at it, her mind reeling. Accept help from the human who had just defeated her? The shame would be enormous. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw no mockery there. No cruelty. Just respect for a fellow warrior. She took his hand. Jack pulled her to her feet, steadying her when her injured leg nearly buckled. The crowd remained silent, processing what they had witnessed. Humans, the weakest species in the galaxy, had just defeated their greatest warrior champion in single combat. The Arbiter's voice rang out across the arena. "Victor, Jack Torres of Earth. By the terms of the challenge, humanity is granted council membership, and Captain Vex has pledged herself in marriage." Vex's eyes widened. She had forgotten about that part. It had been a joke, a cruel addendum to make the challenge even more impossible. She looked at Jack, expecting to see triumph or smugness. Instead, he was frowning. That part was just for show, right? He asked her quietly. "Because if not, we need to have a serious conversation about consent and how challenges work in human culture." Despite everything, despite her pain and humiliation and shock, Vex felt laughter bubble up from her chest. This human had just beaten her unconscious, earned his species a seat among the stars, and his first concern was whether she actually wanted to marry him. "You are very strange, Jack Torres," she said, still chuckling despite her split lip. "That's not an answer," he replied. She looked at him properly then, saw the warrior who had held back even in victory, who had used only what force was necessary, who had offered her respect when he could have demanded submission. Perhaps humans were not just clever fighters. Perhaps they had other qualities her people had overlooked. "The challenge was legitimate," she said slowly. "But you are correct that we should talk. I made that proclamation in arrogance, never expecting to lose. Yet you fought with honor, even when you could have humiliated me further." She touched her jaw, wincing. "I would know more about humans before I make such a decision. And you should know more about Dralfic culture before you agree to anything." Jack nodded. "Fair enough. Coffee?" "What is coffee?" "Oh, you're going to love humanity," Jack said with a slight smile. "We're very good at stimulants, too." As they walked out of the arena together, the crowd finally erupted. Some cheered, some jeered, but all of them understood that something fundamental had changed. Humanity would take its place among the stars, not through natural advantages, but through skill, determination, and 10,000 years of learning how to punch above their weight. Vex glanced at the human beside her, this retired soldier who had casually dismantled her entire worldview in less than 10 minutes. 47 warriors before you failed," she said. "Why were you different?" Jack considered the question. "They probably tried to fight like you, to beat you at your own game. I fought like a human. We don't win by being stronger. We win by being stubborn, creative, and just a little bit crazy." Vex chuckled again, shaking her head. Perhaps marrying a human wouldn't be the worst fate after.